Hello, welcome to another episode of How to Produce Your Podcast. Today we're going to deal with the issue of syllables and pops while you're recording and how to avoid those. When you're speaking to your microphone and you might hear your puh, or your s, or your tuh, as in test, those things show up on your podcast and they are not good. They don't sound very professional. So today what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a pop filter from scratch. Instead of going to musician's friends or some professional broadcasting store and spending up to $175 for a pop filter, we're going to make one for less than $10. So here's what we need.
Okay, go.
So I have here a 4-inch embroidery hoop. You can use a 6-inch if you want, but for a straight regular microphone, 4 inches really is enough. Now this one's made of wood, and eventually I'll probably paint it black just so that it all melts together into one color. You can use a plastic one as well, but I like the wooden one and I like the 4-inch one because it's a little more close together and it doesn't take up such a wide area. The other things that we're going to need is some split tubing, which is going to make our concoction a little better looking. I've got a piece of 10 by 2 gauge electrical wire that's moldable, shapeable, and I can move it to any position that I want. Okay? And a zip tie and a black nylon. The tools that I need: a pair of pliers that can clip my wire, a pair of scissors, and a screwdriver. To get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our black nylon. This is what is going to filter out those syllables that have the the popping sound. How do you know if it's got a popping sound? When you put your hand in front of your face, say pause, please, stop, test. Those puffs of air and that long s sound can wreak havoc on your podcast or your internet broadcast. So this is what will filter out that pop of air and that long sound S sound. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop off a leg. Okay? We're going to chop off the toe. And what we want to do is we're going to cut this thing lengthwise so that we can fold it over, because then we have more working area to stretch over our embroidery hoop. Alright? So here we go. Now if you have somebody at home that can hold the other end for you, you can just slide the scissors right down and just cut it right in half. Alright, we're almost there. Okay. Like I said, we want this little piece right here so that we can take it and fold it over, which then gives us a wider area to stretch. Okay? Alright, so we're going to take our embroidery hoop, our 2 pieces, we take it apart, and as I said, we're going to take our nylon and fold it in half. We're going to take this nylon and we're going to stretch it over the inner part of our hoop and put this over it. So now, since I don't have a second pair of hands to do this with, I'm going to have to be very creative. Stretch this over, pop that in like that, and voila. Take it, tighten it down, and then what we're going to do is we're going to trim off the rest of this nylon. You don't have to stretch it really tight. You want it to have a little thickness because the whole purpose is to prevent that puff of air from your P's and your T's, and it catches that S sound when you're saying screaming, something. It stops that hissing sound of the S. So we'll trim this part off. a little bit left there. And there we go. We have a nice little pop filter. Tighten it down. And there you go. It has a little stretchiness to it, and it's perfect. Okay. That's that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the pieces together. So, as I showed you, you needed a clamp. We're going to take our 10 by 2 gauge electrician's wire, and we're going to insert it right in there just like that. Now I want mine to be underneath, because over my microphone when I'm speaking for my podcast, I'm going to read things. So I don't want the pop filter over here and the wire up top to block my vision. So I'm going to put it on the bottom. So let's screw this down. Okay, that's attached quite nicely. Okay, now we're going to take our zip tie. Now what we're going to do is, some people say, take your pop filter and put your zip tie through there like this and attach it. By doing that, I find that this thing moves a lot, and we don't want that. The reason why I like the wooden ones over the plastic ones is because there's more area around the screw down. So what I'm going to do is, I want this to be sturdy. I don't want it moving around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the top of this piece of wire to the top of the wood. We're going to take it, align it just like so, and then we'll put on our zip tie. So let's just get it ready. Alrighty. Once we've got it lined up in the back, we're going to tighten it down to as tight as we can get it. Alright, see, now I can move it and it doesn't flop over. Let's take our little clippers here.
You're my vision.
Don't talk. Alright, so now we're going to take that. We're going to take the final piece, which is going to make this orange cord look professional. And right through the split, we're going to put that on. And there we go. There's our pop filter. Now, you want your pop filter to be 2 to 4 inches away from your microphone. Okay? The further away your pop filter is from the microphone, the more sound and space you pick up. You'll notice that when your mouth is close to the microphone picks up the ambiance and the depth of your voice, so that you have a, hey, how are you, deep kind of voice. The further you are away from the microphone, the more of the highs it picks up and the more of the air and the space it picks up, which means your voice will be higher. You'll have less boom and less depth to your voice. So you'll have to work that out on your mixing board. So I keep mine about 2.5 to 3 inches away. And there we go. We have our pop filter, and it looks almost like a professional one that you paid $50 to $175 for.